SprintCarUnlimited.com coming to you from Ryan Taylor's motorhome, I guess, or a friend's motorhome. You're not in the pit area this week. Why?
We ended up getting into a little bit of an incident at Grandview with the All-Stars. Had a wreck there and kind of suffering from a concussion right now from it. So we're just taking some time off and trying to do the right things and not, make a bad decision.
We'll get to you not running the Tuscarora 50 in a minute. Obviously, it's Saturday of the Tuscarora 50, a time when anybody who runs regular at Port Royal wants to be in the pit area. But a couple weeks ago at Grandview is where you suffered this concussion. What happened? Take us through the incident itself and the days following it.
So it was just a racing deal, really. Touched wheels and jumped wheels with the 07 car, McIntyre, and I don't really feel like it was anyone's fault. It's a heat race we're running, and we're racing for a transfer spot in an all-star show. So we touched wheels, and then I was pretty upset, but I guess it's part of it. Like I knew my race car was junk, so it's a $10,000 wreck, something like that, and gets frustrating. But yeah, we touched, and then what ended up happening was I ended up going straight backwards into the wall and bent the whole back of the car under. But just that initial impact, in the 13 years that I've been running a 410, that was one of the harder hits that I've taken. And it doesn't look, in a video or anything like that, it doesn't look like it's anything bad, but walls don't really move. So if it would have just been and there was like a flip afterwards and everything, but I think that was negligent to what the hit was. So, for me, I just feel like that initial impact and that hit backwards, it just kind of really rung my bell and put me in the situation that we're in right now.
So what were your symptoms after that wreck, and what were the days, and what led you to go see a doctor?
Me not feeling well. So right afterwards, I think adrenaline's kind of always still going after a wreck, and that's a normal feeling. I just wanted to get loaded up and get out of there and just be done with the night. But then immediately after getting home, like, headache came on, and I figured, well, this is normal. Woke up the next morning, my neck's sore, kind of like you're trying to talk and turn your head, and you can't really. You're just locked up, and you end up just moving your whole upper body instead. And I'm like, well, this is really setting in. And now I was kind of thinking in the back of my head, like, the next day is going to be even worse probably. So can't wait for that. And then I talked to a few other people. So I reached out to Tom Whittle. Justin had a bad wreck up here a few weeks prior, and I just asked him. I said, I knew he had gone to see somebody. I said, who did he go see? He gave me the name of the guy and his information, and he said, you need to reach out to this person. Like, this is the right thing to do. And being the friend that Tom is, he was really pushing for me, and even had his wife kind of helping out to get me in there, because it's the doctor's name is Dr. Steven Stash, and he is the head specialist for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I honestly believe he really knows what he's doing, and that was the right person to see. And it was a great doctor's meeting, really, to go to. But it took me a little bit of time to get an appointment with him, but it was worth the wait. And I didn't really put anything out saying that I was feeling bad or even mentioning anything, because I didn't know, and I didn't want to put misinformation out there and just say something, and I waited. So waited, put something up, and then there's been a huge outreach from a lot of people right now. And honestly, I don't feel like I'm in a very bad spot with where my head's at right now. It's just frustrating.
Obviously, the symptoms, it was pretty bad for a while, because you wore a heating pad around your neck for 2 days. You told me that last night. And the symptoms got worse and worse. How scary was this whole process for you, going to Dr. Stash? Because, you're not too long ago, you were married. You're in your 30s. This had to be kind of a different feel for you.
It is. It's I feel like I have a little bit more responsibility in life now. My wife is number one to me, and then my career for my full-time job, and taking care of our house and everything that goes with that. So as frustrating as it is, it's sometimes the racing stuff needs to take a back seat, and I felt that in this situation especially, like it was gonna, because I didn't feel good right away. She was trying to help out the best that she could, like you said there, like heating pad on right away, and just trying to take it easy and not put myself in worse shape and try to push and run over to the race shop and tear a race car apart and get right back to things. So I don't want to say it's scary. It's just, I think the biggest word I can use to describe it is it's just so frustrating, because I feel like there's a lot of times where I can just be very normal and do everything that I want to do, but then I run into an episode of getting extremely dizzy, and that's one of the things that's really off for me right now is depth perception and balance. And that happens. It gets, you like got to grab onto something and not try to fall over, because I can't hit my head again right now. And that's kind of the really crappy part about it all.
So we talked about the physical stuff. You're obviously, bright lights is something you mentioned last night that you're dealing with, that kind of is cumbersome. You also have the dizziness. How about the emotional and mental standpoint of it? I mean, you're at the Tuscarora 50 this weekend, and it's been hard.
Yeah, it's not easy. This is the first time in, I've been racing a 410 now for 13 years, and trying to build a family deal and make it better than what it was the year before every time. And to come here, and especially for the money that they've been putting up and increasing this too, this is the one that everybody wants to win, that races at Port regularly, or even Williams Grove, whatever. But like, to not be able to compete in it, it sucks. Like, it's terrible. I can't say it enough, I guess. Like, last night, just standing there and watching is just so frustrating, and I almost like feel a little bit weird trying to just talk to the other drivers, and you don't have your suit on, and you almost don't feel like you fit in then. But it's awkward. It's a very, very weird feeling, and not something that I'm used to.
You kind of also had to walk out a little bit and
Yeah.
kind of take a minute for yourself, because it was really emotional.
Yeah, I texted my wife, and I told her, I was like, this is horrible. Like, I just was so kind of down, and obviously, like, I know some of it is like symptoms from the concussion, because I have been very up and down and pretty short fused from time to time, and unfortunately with her too, time to time, and that's not easy, because I know it's not the right thing. But yeah, like we went there, and I watched time trials, and I watched 2 heat races, and I had to leave and just kind of come back to the camper and sit back down and just kind of take a minute, because it just, you want to be out there. There's no part of me that really wants to be here and not race. And I've kind of actually been questioning, like, how much how much longer I guess of a career I'm gonna have in racing a sprint car from time to time. And I texted her last night, and I just said, for me, this is a big confirmation that, like, there's no part of me that's really ready to stop, because it's not having it right now, and just based on, like, knowing that this is the right thing to do, it's extremely hard.
So what's your prognosis at this point? How long is this going to last? What are some of the things you have to do to try and get better?
So the number one thing, so the biggest thing is not hit your head again. And obviously it's all of this is so very basic. There's nothing, crazy about it. It's just basic stuff. Like, you can't hit your head. You got to do physical therapy. It's just like another injury that you would have on your body, I guess. But when at times you don't feel limited, it's different. Like talking with Tyler Reeser and stuff last night, you see, like, he's in a sling and he's injured and he can't physically do that for me, I could, if I want to work on a race car, and I probably feel like I could drive. I just know that I'm not going to be 100%, and I don't want to hurt myself more, and I also don't want to put other people at risk either out on the racetrack. So to have to make that kind of responsible decision, it's not easy. It's really difficult, and I think it's the right thing, but we'll just keep moving forward, I guess. It just got to stick with the therapy, and that's what the doctor said. He said if you do the therapy, it's 2 to 3 times a week, 4 to 6 weeks, and then we already have another evaluation scheduled, and we'll go get checked out again. And then if the progress has been good, then I'm thinking what they're going to do is some stuff that I can be practicing at home on my own. And once we get through that, then we'll see where I'm at. But for me, that puts it at the end of the race season. So there's no point to me to really rebuild a new race car and come back out to run, the National Open or something like that. I don't think it makes sense to take that much time off and then just show up to like some of the really big races that are left, I guess.
So we know for a leg injury, you get on a treadmill, you get in a pool, even arm injuries, different things you could do. For a concussion, what are some of the exercises or what are some of the things that you have to do to get your head where it needs to be?
So I don't necessarily know the full answer to that yet. My first day of physical therapy was yesterday, and we kind of ran through like a full evaluation of how bad I was and where I was at, to the point of like one of the tests was to I stood there and he said, okay, count from 25 down, odd numbers. So I did that. Then he told me, okay, do that again, but walk forward. And I said, okay, and I did it a little bit slow. And then he said, okay, do that and walk backwards now. And I all but fell over, and I couldn't walk and think of those numbers at the same time. And that definitely kind of hit a...
Was that scary?
It was just, yeah, like, I was like, like, shit. Like, like I guess I am doing the right thing right now, because that's so not normal. And, it definitely, like, kind of scared me a little bit, because I looked at the doctor, and he was like, yep. He was like, this is normal. You'll be fine, but this is a normal thing, And I'm like, all right, well, I didn't really expect that to be the case. I thought I'd be able to do it, and same thing, like, some of the other tests and things that we did, just try to close your eyes, walk in a straight line, and I end up halfway across the room. And I thought I was walking really good and straight, but I wasn't. So there's going to be a lot of like brain work, I guess. A lot of like vision, ocular motions to go through, and I guess the tubes in behind your ears there that help with balance, that stuff will strengthen as your it's got to heal, I guess, but that stuff will strengthen as your vision gets better. My biggest thing with the vision right now is the depth perception. I can't read a pen will get blurry at 2 inches from my left eye, and at 10 inches from my right eye, it's blurry. And so that's kind of an off thing. So the depth perception there is a little bit different. So I don't know what we're going to do for that, but I'm pretty intrigued to find out, I guess, because I'm looking forward to getting better. So we'll see.
What are, with the concussions, obviously we don't hear about them a ton in sprint car racing, or definitely no protocols, but this year Justin Whittle, Ryan Smith last year, Kyle Moody this year, you this year, does there need to be a harder look? Or we saw it in the NFL. I remember covering the NFL kind of during that time. This is your head's serious business, as you're finding out right now. Do we need more evaluations, protocols in sprint car racing?
I think everybody just needs to, kind of put themselves first, and then, like I was saying too, like, think of others and not jeopardize, your fellow competitors, because at the end of the day, we're all pretty good friends. So, I don't know about a protocol. I just feel like maybe it's overlooked a little bit, and I think the whole old school racing mentality is to just push forward and not skip a beat, and you wreck a race car, it is what it is. You build another one, you get back out there the following week, and a lot of guys used to race for a living, and it's maybe not as common that so many guys are running for a living now, but they needed to make that money, and that was their income. So nowadays it's less of that, I guess you could say, here in Central PA is what it used to be. So to me, they need to just kind of consider themselves first, as that's at least what some of the guys I talked to, and Kyle Moody was one of the people that I reached out. I talked to his wife Brittany, and they both said, like, hey, yeah, we know it's not an easy decision, but you got to do the right things. And it's kind of cool to have that support from other fellow competitors, and it feels good knowing that everybody kind of cares about everybody. So I think going forward, a big thing is that the whole pressure to race every single weekend and what's expected of all the drivers in the pits here, can be a little bit crazy at times, but I think these guys got to just know when they don't feel good, like it's hard to win on a night where you're 100%, and like if you're off a little bit, then why push it? Why jeopardize your future, your safety, and I guess your health really down the road? That's the big thing that I kind of keep thinking of.
Last question, we'll let you go. You mentioned the frustration. Is part of it is there's no timeline? I mean, or did they give you a timeline? Or I guess with your head and your brain, that's so hard to do. And I'm sure Dr. Stash told you that you could just kind of go through the procedures you need to. But how frustrating is that part? Not knowing when exactly. Hey, 6 weeks from now I'm going to be better.
Yeah, it's all based on obviously how fast the strength of your muscles heal, and that's really what it is. It's just the way they explained it to me. It's doing these exercises for your brain, your eyes, your tubes behind your ears. Like, all this stuff is gonna re-strengthen those and get them back to normal. So there isn't necessarily a timeline. If things go well and therapy works out well, then I guess the 4 to 6 weeks should be pretty good. But fortunately, I guess the way I'm trying to look at it is, right now there's no pressure. It's not the beginning of the race season, so I don't feel like I have to. I guess I should restate that a little bit. The pressure for me comes from myself, because you have these commitments with sponsors, and you want to be out there. You want to obviously represent them, but at least this is at the end of the season, and I know that I can let them know and send an email and call them and that kind of stuff and say, hey, listen, we're going to miss the last few races of the season. Everybody understands and wants your health first anyway. But I don't feel a pressure to maybe try to push the issue and come back out before I know I feel like I'm back to 100%. But I don't know when that's going to be, and I guess a little bit of the stress reliever about it is the fact that we're going into the off season here shortly, and I'll have that plenty of time to kind of let that run its course and get back, and hopefully just come back out in 2021 with a solid package, and hopefully all the same sponsors on the race car again, and just get back to running weekly here at Port Royal.
Well, we appreciate you letting us come to the motorhome here to talk to you. We wish you all the best in your recovery. Like I said, I've seen a lot of concussions, obviously covering other sports, and it's no joke. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely not. It shouldn't be taken lightly. So look forward to just getting better and healing up and getting back out here to hang out with you guys more often.
SprintCarUnlimited.com, coming to you from Ryan Taylor's Motorhome, Port Royal Speedway.